Over half of home compost piles never produce finished compost in a reasonable time frame. Not because the ingredients are wrong, not because composting is complicated, because three structural limits quietly stall the process. And almost every composting guide skips right past them. The reason most people miss this is because composting looks simple on the surface. Add greens, add browns. Wait. But that advice treats composting like a recipe when it is actually a biological engine. And engines do not fail dramatically. They idle. They sputter without ever fully engaging. The pile does not explode or catch fire. It just sits there, month after month. Slightly damp, slightly warm, slightly smelly, never finishing. And the gardener assumes they are doing something wrong with ratios or materials when the real problems are structural, buried underneath everything they were told to focus on. Today, I am going to break down the three hidden problems that keep compost from finishing, why they are invisible in most guides, and exactly how to fix each one so your pile actually becomes the soil amendment your garden needs. Before we get into the three problems, we need to reframe what composting actually is. Most people think of it as decomposition. Organic matter goes in, breaks down, becomes soil. That is technically true, but dangerously incomplete. Composting is not passive decay. It is managed microbial digestion. You are cultivating billions of bacteria, fungi, and actinomycetes, and your job is to maintain the conditions they need to function. Temperature, moisture, oxygen, and surface area access are their operating requirements. When those conditions are met, a compost pile can finish in 8 to 12 weeks. When even one is constrained, decomposition slows. When two are constrained, it stalls. When all three hidden problems are present simultaneously, and they usually are, you get what most gardeners experience. A pile that looks like it should be working, feels warm occasionally, shrinks slightly but never actually becomes usable compost. Slow composting is not failed composting, it is inefficient composting. And the difference between a pile that finishes in 10 weeks and one that takes 10 months comes down to these three structural limits. The first hidden problem is particle size. This is the most underestimated variable in home composting, and the single biggest reason piles stagnate. Microbes do not eat objects, they colonize surfaces. Decomposition speed is determined by surface area to volume ratio. A whole banana peel has limited exposed surface relative to its mass. Chop that same peel into half-inch pieces, and the exposed surface multiplies dramatically. Total volume remains identical, but microbial access points increase exponentially. That is physics, not preference. The same principle applies to everything in your pile. Whole leaves resist breakdown for months. Shredded leaves disappear rapidly. Intact avocado skins persist stubbornly. Chopped scraps soften in days. Cardboard sheets sit unchanged for weeks. Torn cardboard fragments vanish. Most composting guides mention particle size as a footnote. It should be the headline. If you change nothing else about your compost system, not your ratios, not your bin, not your turning schedule, but you reduce particle size consistently before adding material, you can cut composting time by 30 to 50%. That is not exaggeration. That is microbial geometry. The practical fix is simple. Keep a pair of garden shears near your compost bin. Chop kitchen scraps before adding them. Run leaves over with a lawnmower before piling them. Tear cardboard into hand-sized pieces. Break sticks and stems into segments no longer than 4 to 6 inches. You are not adding significant labor. You are doing 2 minutes of prep that saves 2 months of waiting. And here's the compounding effect. Smaller particles also improve moisture distribution and airflow balance. Water reaches more surfaces. Air channels form more evenly between fragments. When particle size is large, the outer surfaces break down while the interior remains intact. That interior becomes a moisture trap or a dry core depending on surrounding conditions. This is why you find whole fragments months later and assume compost simply takes longer than advertised. It does not. It was structurally limited from the beginning, which leads directly into the second hidden problem. The second hidden problem is moisture uniformity, not just moisture level. Every composting resource repeats the phrase, like a wrung-out sponge. That phrase is technically correct and operationally vague. Most people have never calibrated what that actually means inside a 3-foot pile of mixed organic matter. The real issue is not whether the pile is wet or dry on the surface. It is whether moisture is evenly distributed from top to bottom and edge to center. And in most home compost systems, it is not even close. Here is what typically happens. You build a pile or add to a bin over several weeks. Rain saturates the top 6 inches. The center compresses under its own weight and holds moisture. The bottom either drains too fast or stays waterlogged depending on your base. The outer edges dry out from wind and sun exposure. So you have one pile with 4 different moisture zones, each supporting a different microbial population at a different activity level. The wet center goes anaerobic. The dry edges go dormant. The saturated bottom breeds the wrong organisms, and the only zone actually composting efficiently is a narrow band somewhere in the middle. From the outside, the pile looks cohesive. Inside, it is 4 separate environments pretending to be one system. This is why turning matters, but not for the reason most people think. Turning is not primarily about adding oxygen, though it does that. Turning redistributes moisture gradients. It breaks up compacted nitrogen pockets, it moves dry edges into the moist center and exposes saturated zones to air. But here is the critical distinction. A pile that is turned without attention to moisture just rearranges the same problem. A pile that is turned with intentional moisture correction actually resets conditions across the entire volume. The practical fix is this. When you turn your pile, assess moisture as you go. Grab a handful from the center and squeeze. Water should barely appear between your fingers. If it drips freely, the center is too wet. Mix in dry brown material as you turn. If the handful crumbles and will not hold shape, it is too dry. Add water gradually as you redistribute. The goal is not to water the pile from the top like a garden bed. Moisture must be integrated during turning, not applied afterward. A hose on top creates surface saturation without reaching the core. One more detail most guides miss entirely. Different materials absorb moisture at completely different rates. Dry leaves repel water initially before absorbing it. Cardboard wicks moisture away from surrounding scraps. Fresh grass clippings release water as they compress and heat. When you layer these materials without mixing them thoroughly, you create persistent dry and wet pockets that survive multiple turns. This is why mixing, not layering, produces faster compost. Layering looks orderly. Mixing is biologically superior. Compost is not built like lasagna. It is engineered like a system. The third hidden problem is insufficient thermal mass. Compost heat is not decorative. It is the engine of speed. Thermophilic bacteria dominate between approximately 130 and 150 degrees Fahrenheit. At that range, cellulose and tougher organic compounds break down rapidly. Weed seeds are neutralized. Pathogen levels drop. But heat is a function of microbial activity and insulation. A pile smaller than roughly 3 feet by 3 feet by 3 feet, about 1 cubic yard, cannot reliably sustain thermophilic temperatures. Microbes generate heat, but without sufficient surrounding mass to retain it, that heat escapes into the air. Watch, the pile stays in the cooler mesophilic range where decomposition still occurs, but at a dramatically slower pace. Most home compost bins are too small. A standard tumbler holds 5 to 8 cubic feet. That is well below 1 cubic yard. These systems can produce compost, but they cannot produce fast compost because they cannot maintain temperature. Gardeners then chase additives, activators, or more frequent turning in an attempt to compensate for a volume deficit that no product can override. Physics does not negotiate. The practical fix depends on your situation. If you have space, build a pile that meets or exceeds 1 cubic yard. 3 pallets arranged in a U-shape with the front open is the cheapest functional design. If you are limited to a smaller bin or tumbler, accept that your timeline is longer and focus more aggressively on particle size and moisture uniformity, because you cannot rely on volume to compensate. One additional note on volume: the pile does not stay the same size. As decomposition progresses, volume shrinks. A pile that starts at 1 cubic yard may settle to half that within 3 weeks. When it drops below the thermal threshold, it cools and shifts from thermophilic to mesophilic processing. This is natural in the later stages. But if you want to maintain hot composting through the full cycle, the simplest approach is batch composting. Build the full pile at once, manage it through its heating cycles, let it cure, then harvest the entire batch before starting the next one. Continuous addition systems feel convenient because you can toss scraps in daily, but they inherently mix materials at different stages of decomposition. The pile never reaches a clean, synchronized hot phase. Temperature fluctuates. Finished compost is difficult to separate from fresh material. Batch composting creates predictability. Predictability creates speed. Now here's why these three problems are so destructive together. A pile with large particles, uneven moisture, and insufficient volume is not just slow in three separate ways. The problems multiply. Large particles reduce surface area, which slows microbial colonization, which reduces heat output. Reduced heat means the pile never reaches thermophilic temperatures. Without thermophilic temperatures, tough materials like stems and cardboard persist even longer. Meanwhile, uneven moisture creates dead zones where microbial activity drops to near zero. Those dead zones further reduce heat generation, and the smaller the pile, the less it can afford any dead zones because the insulating mass is already marginal. Each problem makes the other two worse. This is why so many gardeners try fix after fix without improvement. They add nitrogen to boost heat, but particle size is still too large for microbes to access it quickly. They turn more often, but moisture is still uneven because they are not correcting it during turns. They buy an activator, but the pile is too small to retain the heat that activator was supposed to generate. The fixes address symptoms. The three hidden problems are the system. So here is the complete reset protocol. If your current pile has been sitting for months without finishing, do not abandon it. Rebuild it. Pull everything out. Spread it so you can see what you are working with. You will almost always find the artifacts of inefficiency hiding inside. Matted leaf clumps, whole vegetable scraps, woody stems longer than your hand, compressed nitrogen pockets that smell slightly sour. Chop anything large. Break clumps apart. Shred leaves that were added whole. Then rebuild by mixing, not layering. Alternate wet and dry materials thoroughly. Correct moisture in real time. Grab handfuls from different depths and squeeze. Adjust gradually until uniformity is consistent. Build the pile to at least 3 feet in all dimensions. Then step back and leave it for 48 to 72 hours. If structure is correct, internal temperature should begin climbing. Within 5 days, you should feel significant warmth. A compost thermometer eliminates guesswork. You should see it climb above 110 degrees and ideally into the 130 to 150 range. If it does not heat within a week, reassess particle size and moisture before touching anything else. Those two variables account for most stalls. Once the pile is heating, your role shifts from builder to manager. Turn based on temperature, not the calendar. When internal temperature drops below 110 after a hot phase, turn to redistribute material and reintroduce oxygen. That second heating cycle often rises faster than the first because microbial populations are already established. Most hot compost batches require 3 to 4 turns over 4 to 6 weeks. After the final heating phase, temperature will decline steadily and not rebound. That signals the curing phase. A curing is slower and cooler. It allows fungi and secondary organisms to finish stabilizing complex compounds. 2 to 4 additional weeks of curing prevents nitrogen tie-up in your soil. Finished compost should be dark, crumbly, and earthy smelling. If you can still identify distinct scraps, it is not finished. One final point that ties everything together. Composting is not about patience. That is the quiet lie that keeps gardeners trapped in slow systems for years. Patience is the correct response when a system is working and you are waiting for it to finish. Patience is the wrong response when a system is stalled and you are hoping it fixes itself. A pile that has not changed noticeably in 4 to 6 weeks is not composting slowly. It is barely composting at all. And no amount of waiting changes the physics of surface area, moisture distribution, or thermal mass. The three hidden problems are structural. They require structural solutions. Fix the particle size, fix the moisture uniformity, build enough volume. When all three are addressed simultaneously, composting goes from something that sort of works eventually to a system that produces finished compost reliably every 8 to 12 weeks. And that is what your garden actually needs. Not a pile that might be ready by next spring. A system that delivers usable compost on a schedule you can plan around. Because soil does not improve on hope, it improves on inputs. And the faster your compost system delivers, the faster your entire garden compounds.